a lot of what we do with Disrupt CRE these days is really focused on inspiring the next generation. And, you know, I don't think there are too many people that wake up and say, I want to be a workplace strategist when I grow up. If you do, reach out to me. I want to meet you. Right? We all do. But we need to be inspiring and building purpose for people to connect with us and aspire to spend their energy and talent in this space, solving for these big problems. And so I want to talk about just like, what is your best advice for people who are thinking about working, whether it's as an architect, design, facilities management, data, technology, just corporate real estate. I don't know if we dream about such things, but like we will usher in a next generation, and we have a responsibility to kind of leave them with something, a point of connection. So does anyone want to give kind of like their advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually just sort of picking back on what I just said is experimentation. Experiment with your career, particularly if you're early into your career, you have a little bit more leverage and flexibility to do so. So try different things. LinkedIn is not to spokesperson for it, but you leverage access to people, ask questions, ask for 15 minutes of time. I always say to sort of my younger cousins, just reach out to someone randomly, ask for 15 minutes and ask them about what they do and how they got there. And I'm sure 90% of them will say, I didn't go to school for this, or this wasn't what I thought I would be doing, but somehow through conversations and visibility and exposure, I found myself doing this.
So ask great questions, ask a lot of questions, and don't be afraid to admit when you don't know.
We were joking that sort of our catchphrase was change is constant. And so I'm going to add on to that. I think embrace the change. Yes. We're actually at a really exciting point. I think like everyone, you know, was over the pandemic, fatigue, and I think people are looking at it in more of a negative way, and I think we need to shift that narrative and actually go toward the future and the fact that like we're at a really huge time right now in all of our lives and in our careers and where workplace is going. And I think like just kind of go with the flow and be able to be adaptable also in how you approach your career and approach how your everyday workplace is changing. And I think as long as you're able to do that, then I think you'll really be successful in wherever it leads you, I think.
I think my advice is just be mindful. We are entering a new era of workplace. Regardless of anybody that has 20, 30 years of experience, workplace going forward is totally different from everything we've done so far. And I think that puts the new generation in a really good position, right? Because it's kind of like everybody's coming in fresh, including me. We're learning, like Dijana said, we are still asking questions. We're still trying to figure out, we touched a little bit on hybrid work. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Future of work, nobody knows, right? So I think that the good advice is we're all interns here. We're all starting over. Be curious, ask questions. There are tons of resources out there today with social media, with LinkedIn, companies like VergeSense. We are very proud to create marketing, amazing knowledge content. Yes, we do space occupancy, but we talk about workplace. We have great partners that teach us every day about what's out there and what's new. So really go there, because I think we're all starting fresh at this point.
And most technology companies like you guys have content teams at this point, and there's so much information that's available for free online, especially since the pandemic, that there's every opportunity to be self-educated. Every single day.
I think for me, what's interesting is, for the most part, some landlords have been doing the same thing over and over again, generation after generation. And I met this landlord a few months ago who's a third generation landlord, and he said to me, I'm frightened that I'm not going to be able to have a business to give to my fourth generation. And that really stuck to me. And what it really said to me was that like a lot of these people are so used to kind of going, autopilot. And now this new generation is coming in and kind of shifting that. And they're doing things a lot different. So for the new generation, this is a giant puzzle. Everyone's in it together, and they're figuring out for the first time. So even if you're right out of college or you're in your mid-50s, you're figuring this out together. And this is all new, and this is cool, and this is exciting, and this is kind of what gets me up every day.
But actually, I have to confess, it came from a fortune cookie.
I love that.
But it was the greatest advice, and that is, we don't fail, we succeed or we learn.
Ooh,
and I just thought it was great. I love the discussion around pilots and just make sure when you pilot, you quantify, you have measurements that you can take from it. The expression used to be fail fast, but as I said, I like that better, that we don't fail, we learn.
Learn fast.
For all the people that are in or coming into this big, expansive industry that touches every other industry. This industry touches every industry. So for those young people coming out of school, wherever they're coming from, the way in has many doors and windows. And what I found in my experience, and I probably suffer from this too, is that you want to come in through the front door. You want to knock, you want to ring the doorbell, and this is the way I'm going to go in. And this is what I was taught. But the front door might be locked to where you want to get into. Did you check the basement door? Did you check the windows on the front porch? Because one of them might be unlocked and you can climb through. You can get into this industry so many different ways through so many different industries. And look, if you look at it this way, if a company has people that need shelter from the elements anywhere in the world, there's a need for real estate. There's a need for shelter from the storm. And that's what we provide, shelter from the storm. And sometimes the storms are internal to the companies. And so I think, number one, check all the windows and doors to find your way in. Be humble about it. So if you have to go in through the chimney or the basement, so be it. Go in. Get in one way or the other to wherever you want to get to, and then learn from the people you're touching. If you're doing workplace or strategy for a pharmaceutical company, you might learn about a business that you didn't know about, and you might want to join that business. Or it might be for Coca-Cola, or it might be for a mining company. It could be for, you could be a park ranger. Everyone needs shelter. And so use the senses you have to absorb everything around you. And I think that, you spend a lot on your college education, more than I did. Use it. Use your brain. Use what your parents taught you, your families taught you, and trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, change course. Don't wait for someone to tell you that it doesn't feel right. Trust your instincts. Find your way in. Trust your instincts, and above all, no matter what you do, no matter what paths you travel in, keep your principles and core values with you at all times, night and day, awake or asleep, because that will define you, and that is the most important part of your brand, regardless of what you do.
I resonate with so many things that you just said, as I'm sure all of you do, and whoever's watching. Be creative in your approach to entering this space. It can seem really intimidating. It can seem like there's this massive barrier to entry, but we need to be creative. We need to be resilient with our efforts, and we need to be patient. This is not an industry that moves overnight. These are not relationships that happen overnight. It's taken me many years to be able to sit next to all of you amazing people and have conversations like this and have an audience that's dedicated to watching content that we put on. It was not something that happened overnight, and it took a very, very long time. It took a lot of creativity to meet this gentleman and you and you and you and you and all of you who are watching. So I appreciate that so much. And core values, what makes you you? What are the principles that you stand behind? What are the ways that you're going to conduct yourself, not only just in business, but in relationships? What are your interpersonal skills? And that might be challenging right now, as people haven't been in person for quite a long time. Some of our next generation hasn't even had an in-person interview in years, maybe since they graduated college.